This Friday, August 1st, 2025, Donna Logan felt the faint tremor in Eric Forrester's hand before she saw it. It had been weeks since his neurosurgery, months since he'd reclaimed the mantle of power at Forrester Creations, and yet the man who had built an empire with a steady hand and iron resolve now fought a silent battle against weakness he had vowed to conceal. Donna knew Eric better than most. She had stood by him through betrayal and heartbreak, watched him assemble silk and satin into dreams on runways across the globe, and felt the weight of his expectations like a second skin whenever she stepped through the doors of Forrester Manor. When she noticed the slight shake, barely perceptible, like an aftershock of his ordeal, her heart twisted with fear, not for her own comfort or scandal, but for the survival of the dynasty Eric had forged. Without hesitation, she swept Eric into a private study off the main hall, RJ hot on her heels, and whispered her concerns. "Your hand, Dad. I saw it tremble when you signed the contract. We can't let anyone know." Eric's pale eyes flickered with defiance, a stale breeze of arrogance blowing through the mahogany shelves lined with awards and family portraits. "Donna, do you think I don't know what I'm doing? My signature is my crown." But when RJ stepped forward, offering a small prototype of a wrist clasp wired with a miniature dampener engineered to stabilize the tremor, Eric's rigidity melted. Donna and RJ had worked through nights in Donna's improvised workshop, RJ handling the circuitry, Donna tailoring the leather straps, crafting a device so delicate it could slip beneath a sleeve and press micro-vibrations into a tremulous wrist, allowing Eric's hand to remain steady on important documents. With this, RJ explained softly, no one will ever suspect. And Eric, for all his proud insistence on appearing invincible, let Donna secure the clasp onto his forearm, pressed it shut with a muted click, and watched the tremor still. In that moment, Donna promised herself she would guard this secret with everything she had, for once Eric's weakness was exposed, the Forrester Empire, an empire built on family loyalty, visionary designs, and political maneuvering, would crack at its foundation. Yet fate is this world's cruelest tailor, and the flawless garment of secrecy they stitched would unravel in live broadcast for all to see. It happened on the much-anticipated live segment at Forrester Creations' Paris Runway Retrospective, a tribute to Eric's decades of innovation. The event was intended as a triumphant showcase, Eric's first major public appearance since surgery, and every flash of the press's cameras, every gasp of the audience, was meant to affirm his enduring legacy. Rivals like Bill Spencer sank low in their seats, scheming in the shadows. Allies like Stephanie had adorned the front row with proud smiles. Staff and family lined the wings backstage, hearts pounding in time with the drumroll of the opening act. Ridge Forrester, Eric's son and heir apparent in the world of design, stood at his father's side, pride and apprehension roiling in his chest. Ridge knew of the device. He had seen RJ's blueprints in passing, and he respected his father's need for the illusion of strength. But, pitted between loyalty and raw instinct, Ridge had also begun to chafe under Eric's reign, frustrated by what he saw as overprotectiveness and the lingering shadow cast by a titan whose influence eclipsed everyone in the family. When the camera's red light blinked on for the live broadcast to millions, Ridge felt the electric buzz of possibility surge through him. He should have restrained his curiosity, remembered the private conversation with Donna and RJ in the back corridors. But instead, as Eric moved forward to sign the first page of the commemorative guest book, an innocuous ritual meant to symbolize unity between generations, Ridge leaned forward, whispering questions to the on-set director, who encouraged him to show the audience the masterstroke behind Eric's resilience. Ridge, caught in a moment of unguarded impulse, reached across the polished table and tugged gently at Eric's cuff, pulling back the fabric to reveal the leather clasp and tiny mechanical heart nestled against Eric's wrist. The moment felt as if time itself held its breath. Eric's eyes snapped to ridges, shock and anger splitting his face as the camera zoomed in on the device. Across living rooms around the world, people saw the sign that Eric Forrester was not the unbreakable leader he had always portrayed, but a man clinging to power with technology designed to mask his mortality. Live, unfiltered, betrayed by his own blood. The fallout was immediate and merciless. News outlets splashed the image of the clasp across headlines. Forrester Titan falters, Empire's weakest link, King Eric unmasked. Social media pulsed with speculation. Was Eric's health worse than anyone dared whisper? Would he resign, cede control, or collapse under the weight of the revelation? Within the Forrester boardroom, power players circled like vultures. Bill Spencer seized the moment to launch a hostile takeover rumor, dangling investment capital before frightened shareholders. Thomas Forrester, Ridge's younger brother, smelled opportunity to push his own avant-garde line to the forefront. Flo Logan, ever the strategist, drafted letters of intent to key clients, hinting she could keep production steady should Eric step back. Above them all, Eric Forrester sat in stunned silence, the leather clasp a cold reminder of his exposed fragility, his breath ragged as reality, not neurosurgical anesthesia, blurred his senses. Donna stood beside him, defiance and love flickering in her eyes, prepared to sacrifice everything to protect her father's legacy. RJ hovered at the threshold, guilt sharpening his features, knowing that his brilliance at crafting the device had instead engineered the Empire's undoing. Ridge, guilt racking his conscience yet feeling an intoxicating surge of autonomy, pressed his hands together, the architect of his father's disgrace and perhaps, unknowingly, the first true heir to a weakened throne. The Forrester dynasty, once the unassailable summit of fashion, now faced a brutal scramble. Who among the family, the friends, and the foes would rise from the ashes of Eric's fall? Would Donna's fierce loyalty withstand the gale of ambition? Could Eric, stripped of the armor of illusion, rally his strength to quell the mutiny at the gates of Forrester Creations? Or would Ridge seize the opportunity to rewrite his destiny, proving that sometimes the most vivid triumphs spring from the ruins of the greatest catastrophes? As the cameras cut away and the echoes of the live reveal faded into whispers in every boardroom and boutique from Paris to Los Angeles, one truth remained unshakable. The battle for succession had begun, and nothing, not love, not loyalty, not legacy, would ever be the same again. Tune in for episode of The Bold and the Beautiful on CBS or stream on Paramount+, because you won't want to miss a single heartbeat of the drama that's set to explode across every moment, every line, every gaze. From Nick Marone's most intimate fantasies to the thunderous voice of Eric Forrester issuing a stark warning, from bitter memories that haunt the sun-drenched shores of Italy to the wreckage of a meticulously planned proposal. Every twist and turn in this installment underscores how the choices of yesterday refuse to stay buried and instead rise up to confront our beloved characters in the most devastating, exhilarating ways possible. The past is a living, breathing presence in this episode, and it will stop at nothing to reshape futures, tear open old wounds, and force each player to reckon with the consequences of their desires. If you thought you could predict how Brooke, Ridge, Nick, Taylor, Eric, Lee, or even the ever-volatile Sheila would act, think again. Friday's installment promises to upend every assumption and send shockwaves straight through the bedrock of every relationship. It all begins with a dream. Nick Marone, eyes closed, dressed in crisp linen aboard a sleek yacht, utterly consumed by the vision of Brooke Logan slipping a diamond ring onto her finger, the sun glinting off the water as she murmurs yes. In Nick's mind, he's already bent the knee, already felt the weight of history lift as he pledges his heart and soul to the woman he loves. He sees the look in Brooke's eyes, soft and luminous, and hears the muted gasp of onlookers as they realize this is not just a grand gesture, but the culmination of every whispered promise he's ever whispered in the dark. But before the dream can fully bloom, it cracks like a wave spreading through still waters, when suddenly, from behind him, the voice of Eric Forrester booms in warning, "Do not propose to my daughter." It's a command that echoes across the deck, halting Nick's fantasy in its tracks and replacing every petal-strewn promise with a flash of doubt so sharp it cuts to the bone. Eric's expression is stern, unyielding. His love for Brooke is unconditional, but his protection of her heart is draconian. Nick jolts awake, chest heaving, caught between the intoxicating allure of what could be and the cold reality of what Eric will allow. It's the first explosive moment of the episode, a pressure cooker scene that reminds us all, in the world of Forrester Creations and Logan Designs, even the sweetest moment can be poisoned by the ghosts of what came before. Before we delve deeper into the heart of Friday's chaos, let's rewind to previously on B&B, where we find Brooke Logan stranded in Italy with Ridge Forrester, a man whose engagement to Taylor Hayes has turned every shared sunset into a reminder of what might have been. Italy, with its sun-drenched villas and ancient ruins, serves as both paradise and prison. Paradise because its beauty holds echoes of Brooke and Ridge's most tender memories. Prison because those same memories now sting with the sharp tang of regret and betrayal. Ridge, determined to make the most of their time despite the jagged shards of their past, wears his engagement ring to Taylor like armor. Yet the moment he hears that Brooke and Nick shared a passionate kiss back in Los Angeles, his composure fractures. The brothers, once united by blood, if not by loyalty, now stand on opposite banks of a widening chasm, each convinced the other is responsible for the fracture in Brooke's heart. Ridge's anger simmers beneath the surface, his calm facade barely containing the fury of a man who feels he never truly lost Brooke because she never fully belonged to anyone else. Meanwhile, Brooke, torn between the warmth of Ridge's familiarity and the fresh promise of Nick's devotion, finds herself at the epicenter of an emotional earthquake. She reminds Ridge, with an almost weary exasperation, of his impending marriage to Taylor. "Remember her?" she asks. Yet in her voice lies a tremor that betrays how little certainty she now feels about any future he might offer. This is the crucible in which Friday's drama is forged, memories, regrets, and obligations converging to create a tension so intense that it threatens to ignite at a single spark. That spark arrives when Nick, defying Eric's implacable stance and fueled by equal parts hope and desperation, sets his grand plan in motion. A private yacht anchored off the coast of a secluded Italian bay, where he intends to prove, once and for all, that his love for Brooke is as deep and unbreakable as the sea itself. He labors over every detail, fine wine chilled to perfection, a trail of rose petals leading to the bow, a string quartet tuned to the most poignant arrangement imaginable, yet fate has other plans. Moments before Brooke arrives, Nick receives word that the yacht's engine is failing, a mechanical hiccup that threatens to strand him miles from shore. His heart pounds as he weighs whether to abandon the plan or press forward, convinced that love demands risk. He chooses risk. And so we return to the opening scene, Nick on bended knee, Eric's warning reverberating like a thunderclap, the hush of anticipation broken by the jarring reminder that nothing here is safe. When Brooke steps onto the deck, the world seems to tilt on its axis. Lanterns glow like watchful eyes, petals stubbornly cling to polished wood, and the quartet holds its breath. Then, as if the universe itself has decided that such perfection cannot last, a rogue wave washes across the deck. Brooke's sandal catches on a petal, she tumbles over the railing, and in that instant, grandeur collapses into pandemonium. No sooner does Brooke hit the water than Ridge Forrester, who has sneaked aboard against his own better judgment, leaps into action, plunging into the dark swells with nothing but instinct driving him. His dive sets off a chain reaction. Nick, blinded by guilt and fear, follows suit, while on deck, Eric Forrester bellows orders to the crew, his voice raw with the terror of a father who has already lost too much. Beneath the surface, Brooke's panic spirals. Water surges into her lungs, her vision blurring as memories of better days with Ridge flash before her eyes. Then Ridge's arms encircle her, hauling her toward the surface with Herculean strength, his face a mask of determination and relief. When they break through the waves, gasping for air, the tableau is more than a daring rescue. It is a crucible that will redefine every bond between them. On deck, Nick looks on, heart splintered, as Ridge carries Brooke back into the safety of light, their eyes locking in a moment of pure, unspoken truth. Ridge is her rescuer, her constant, the man who will always dive into danger for her sake. In the aftermath, as medics tend to Brooke's bruised arms and Ridge's scraped hands, the three stand on that deck like survivors of an emotional shipwreck, the waters of betrayal and fear still swirling beneath their feet. Meanwhile, back in Los Angeles. And yes, the ripples of that plunge will crash on both sides of the continent. The power players are making their own moves. Eric Forrester, having already issued his stark ultimatum, will now face the fallout of his daughter's near-fatal accident and the resulting shift in her affections. Will he extend forgiveness to Ridge for the act that, however heroic, shattered his carefully laid plans for Brooke's security? Will he find it in his heart to accept that his warnings, however well-intended, were powerless against a man who would risk everything, and that perhaps this reckless devotion is precisely what Brooke needs? And what if Taylor Hayes, newly engaged to Ridge yet cast adrift by the news of Brooke's rescue? Her world, once anchored by the promise of marriage, will fracture as she learns that Ridge's true loyalty may lie elsewhere. Meanwhile, Nick, nursing his wounded pride and an even more wounded heart, must decide whether to retreat into bitterness or to fight with renewed fervor, even as Eric's cold gaze insists he stay away. Across town, the scheming Sheila Carter-Sharp is already tracking Dr. Lee Finnegan's movements, plotting a partnership or a vendetta that could entangle Lee in her web of vengeance. Lee, ever the righteous healer, may find himself in over his head if he underestimates Sheila's capacity for manipulation. Every conversation, every glance in Friday's episode serves as a prelude to alliances shifting, secrets unraveling, and loyalties being tested in ways that will reverberate for weeks to come. So mark your calendars for Friday, August 1st, 2025. Episode number 9580 of The Bold and the Beautiful is not just another chapter in an endless saga of glamour and heartache, but a seismic event that will redefine every core relationship. You'll see Nick's dreams collide with Eric's edicts, witness Brooke's near-tragic plunge and Ridge's breathtaking rescue, and feel the shockwaves of those moments ripple through every character's world, from Taylor's shattered engagement to Sheila's next scheming move against Lee. It's a roller coaster of drama, tension, and raw emotion, all playing out against the backdrop of the world's most stunning yachts and couture runways. Whether you're Team Ridge, Team Nick, Team Brooke, or Team Sheila, this episode will leave you breathless, heartbroken, and utterly captivated. Don't miss a second. Join us on CBS or Paramount Plus this Friday, and prepare to have your loyalties tested, your expectations upended, and your love for the bold and the beautiful renewed all over again.